Hey, happy Wednesday, and welcome to episode 6 of WhinyTechGuy. It's Wednesday, April 4th, and I've got a few things I want to whine about today. The first thing I want to talk about, and it's not a whine because I think it's bad or sucky, but because I'm kind of bummed. But I read something earlier this week about the Xbox 360 as a TV device and how well Microsoft's doing with that. It's a streaming service and all of the services they have, and it seems like it's not a bad device, not a bad service for what it is and everything that they provide. And dang it, I just don't want Microsoft to have something good. I guess I want everything that they do to be crappy. And I guess I was kind of hoping that they would find some way to screw it up, but it looks like they're doing a pretty good job with it. Not that I want to buy an Xbox to be able to have all of my movies and TV and everything through the internet. Seems like we're going that way with all the devices that have come out. I definitely don't want to have to do that, but who knows, maybe. I'm not a big gamer, so having the Xbox as a gaming machine isn't that important to me. But I just thought that was interesting. I thought I should at least, give Microsoft kudos for something when they're due. So they're due for that. Good for you. Whatever. The other thing I want to talk about is something I read several things about. The AT&T and Verizon with their mobile divisions they've agreed to stop something that they're doing that's called cramming on bills, and maybe you already know what that is, but they agreed to stop doing it. And what cramming is that they're allowing third parties to bill on their bills. So they piggyback onto the AT&T bill and the Verizon bill for things that you do on your phones that are from that you're buying services or goods or whatever from a different party other than AT&T and Verizon. And what's happening is that some of these companies are not being forthright, and they are charging bogus numbers and basically defrauding people. And people get their bills and just pay them, or they have to dispute them, and it gets into a big mess. And so AT&T and Verizon have come out and said that they're going to stop that practice, that these third-party companies, I guess, have to bill on their own now instead of through your mobile bill, which was supposed to be something that would make things more efficient and convenient for the customer, which makes sense when you read it on paper, but you've got bad people doing bad things, and now it's screwing things up for everybody. And the thing that I whine about here is that I'm just not happy that AT&T and Verizon let this go on so long, and that they didn't step up and do something about it. I think if they had, maybe it could still be intact, and it could still be something that they could be using to make the experience good for their customers, which is what I'm most concerned about, is the experience. I don't care about my bill necessarily, other things. I want the experience of using my phone to be good. And that means if I buy something, I don't want to have 18 bills that I have to pay and all that kind of stuff. Fortunately for me, I don't have a phone that has to worry about that, because I have an iPhone, and as far as I know, everything I buy on the iPhone through iTunes goes through Apple to the third party, and they take their cut, and a lot of people hate that about it, but it makes my experience great. I don't have to worry about goofy things on my bill. So anyway, the last thing, if I can think of something else, I will. But some information came out about Google and the money that they are making or not making, as the case may be, from Android. And to me, this is just really funny. But according to the sources that I've read, of course they could be wrong, but I haven't seen Google disputing it, is that Google makes 4 times more money from Apple devices than they do from Android devices. So you take all the money that they're earning through the different services they have, Apple using Gmail and Gmaps, Google Maps on their phones, the different things like that, the search money they get from the different phones, and they're making 4 times more money through the iOS devices than they are through Android devices. And that just, I can't even fathom that, especially when there's so many more Android devices out there that's got to be really frustrating for them. That the Android marketplace, I don't mean the service where they download their apps, but the whole marketplace of Android is not really making a ton of money. It's really kind of a mess, and guess what that means, and what it is a bad experience for their customers, I think. And what you have that a lot of people don't realize, especially the techie guys and the bloggers that get all upset about Android and how it's so great and everything's so much better on Android and all that, it's a very small minority. Most people that have Android devices are people that went down to their mobile store, AT&T, Verizon, whatever, T-Mobile, Sprint, and they walk in and they get sold a smartphone because they're cool and they're the new thing, and they don't know smartphone from a regular phone, from an iPhone, from a whatever, from a hole in their head, most people. And they get shown these things and say, hey, this is just like an iPhone. You can put apps on it. Look, you've got Angry Birds, you've got Facebook. What else do you need? Oh, and look how much cheaper it is. So people buy them. They go, oh, cool, yeah, whatever. So what's happening is these people are just replacing their old flip phones and razors and whatever and getting these smartphones for about the same amount of money as they were buying their old cell phones for when they go to upgrade. And then they're using them like their old phone. It's just a phone to them. They're using very little internet, very little of the apps. Some people aren't using them at all. It's just a phone for them. And that's where it differs from iOS devices. Anybody that buys an iOS device is using a lot of the features of that phone. They are using apps, and they are using music services, and they're going on to Facebook, and they're texting and messaging and all kinds of stuff, FaceTime and whatever, and they're really using those things. And that's why the data rates when you compare between iOS and Android, are huge for the iOS people. The money made from the different app stores is huge difference, at least right now. Someday that can change, I admit that. I think they're trying to make the Android marketplace better all the time. Some apps have been coming out that are actually not too bad now. It's been a while, though, that it's taken them to do that. I still think the experience is not a good one. It's not as good as it could be. And I think a lot of people see that, and they go for the iPhones. They can tell that, and maybe they even know, hey, it's an Apple product, my experience is going to be good, because they've got, almost 20 years of experience of knowing Apple and the reputation to go by. And the little bumps that have come up here and there with Apple devices are mostly forgotten when you have really good experiences time over time over time. So that's very interesting to me. Anyway, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else today. Gosh, there was something else I was going to whine about, and now I've forgotten. Well, if I remember, I'll write it down and do it next week. Anyway, springtime, getting close to summer, getting excited for that. I do new episodes every Wednesday, so tune in and hear what I'm going to whine about. Today was episode 6 again. It's April 4th, 2012, and I'll see you next week. Bye.